Hi, I'm Robert Resch. Welcome to the Asurface Show, where we share useful information for architects and designers, builders, developers, and industry-related professionals. I'm here today with Kristen Nande. Hey, Kristen.
Hi, Robert.
Kristen comes from the SLBSA, the Small Local Business Suppliers Association, and we're here to learn more. Tell us a little bit about the association.
Well, the association is a nonprofit organization, and our primary and biggest goal and responsibility is promoting our primary members, which here in Washington, D.C. are CBEs, in government-sponsored construction and development. Basically, what that means is we try to get our members engaged in projects that the government sponsors, that typically they have a few hurdles that they have to overcome to get into those projects.
Okay, Kristen, tell me a little bit about these obstacles.
Well, I think before we get into the obstacles, we have to look at the CBE program, and it's had a tremendous impact on CBE contractors. Right now, for government-sponsored activity, there's about a 30% of that project has to be awarded to CBEs, and that goes to the contractors. The way that the program is written now, that same accommodation is not given to CBE suppliers.
Right, and that's been our experience when we were starting out. You know, we were a small local business. We had some great manufacturing partners. We had very competitive pricing, and we'd go out to architects to try to engage in these, large construction projects. We were CBE, and there was real value.
Right.
But building relationships takes time and it takes money. And is that an area where the SLBSA can help a company like ours?
That is the area that SLBSA aims to help our primary members. A lot of times, larger manufacturers and distributors already have relationships either with the government or with their specifiers. And so what we aim to do is kind of lobby and speak on behalf of our members so that they can have access and entry into some of those specifiers, into some of those contractors, into some of the government agencies, so that they just have the opportunity to present their products, present their services in a way that's useful for them and the government.
Well, walk me through a hypothetical situation, because what happens? Are you privy to information, and do you engage me in the opportunity? What's the process look like?
Well, we do have a pipeline of projects that is widely available to contractors, suppliers, but what we do is kind of streamline that information. We give it to our members. We open doors, we give introductions. We're able to say, okay, here's where the need is, and here's a supplier that can match that need. And because of kind of the stance and the position of our organization, I think that we have the trust to be able to go in and say, this is a useful supplier for this need.
Right, absolutely. And I feel like that's where a company like ours could benefit most.
Absolutely.
When we look at these district-sponsored construction projects, multifamily housing, and we come along, or we're notified about this project and we're too late in the game, and we don't have a relationship with the architect working on the project, if we could be introduced in the beginning, it would really level the playing field.
I think a lot of times with suppliers, you're on the back end. So maybe when things need to be switched or value engineered, you could possibly be contacted, or you hear of a project. The key is to get on the front end, to be specified. And that is a harder thing to do, because again, you have to have these relationships with the suppliers and, with some of the agencies, and building those relationships takes time, it takes resources. And so we try to leverage our relationships on your behalf.
I think that's great. And I know what you're doing really benefits this DSLBD. It's keeping in line with the mayor's agenda of capacity building and pathways to the middle class, and
absolutely
job creation.
Absolutely. When small businesses are able to compete and they're able to have the opportunity to increase their sales, increase their growth, they're able to hire more people, they're able to supply more products. I mean, it's a win-win for that company and for Washington, D.C. as a whole.
Kristen, walk me through a process, or how does the SLBSA, let's say, benefit a company like ours? What do you do to further our interest?
Okay, so let's say a project comes in the pipeline in the planning or design phase. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to reach out to that developer. I'm going to leverage what relationships we already have with that developer potentially, and find out the contractor if there's one involved already. My next step would be going in to meet with those people and not only discussing the association, but also our members. So now you have access, or at least they have access to you in a way that they may not have even known before. A lot of these developers and contractors want to use CBE companies.
Right.
They just don't know where they are. And it's much easier to go with who they know and who they're familiar with than to go and use a CBE supplier. So my job is not to just create access for you to them, but also them to you.
Oh, that makes sense. You know, I go to a lot of these learning days where we'll hear about these projects and we'll meet the developers, we'll meet the Turners of the world, and we'll sit in these rooms that DSLVD puts on and learn about these projects.
Right.
But then it's up to me to go out and really build the relationships and cultivate the relationships and call and, you know, meet over and over. And as a small business, that presents some unique challenges.
Yeah, I mean, wouldn't it be nice if after one of those engagement opportunities, someone from the SLBSA went to that developer and said, hey, I happen to have an organization that has access to tons of suppliers, and my members are all CBE local businesses, and they really have products and services that would benefit this project. So instead of you having to go in individually one by one, they're just given, you know, a broad list of suppliers that are able to produce products for their projects. And you still can go in and do your due diligence, call on the developer, call on that project manager, but it's not a cold call. It's something that they're already familiar with.
I think it's wonderful. I think it's a wonderful opportunity for the developer, for the general contractor. It's a wonderful opportunity for DC businesses, because it levels the playing field and it cultivates
Absolutely.
opportunities. And I think if a small business can be involved in the beginning of a project, they can be as competitive as they need to be.
Exactly.
So it's not cost prohibitive for the project owner.
Yeah, we don't promise the project, but we at least promise the opportunity. And a lot of times, CBEs aren't even afforded the opportunities. Sometimes they're priced out of jobs. We do help with some manufacturer partners with that. Sometimes they just don't even know. They just don't have access.
So is this is the SLBSA a for-profit company? Is it how does it work?
No, we are a nonprofit organization.
Gotcha. So the people that join are members.
Yes, you join, you can become a member. A primary member obviously is a CBE, small local business, but we do have other memberships that we offer, and that is, again, an extended benefit of we would like the architect and design community to come in and join. Anyone that has their hands in any type of construction at all here in DC, we'd like to become a member so that we can all meet and engage, build relationships with one another. I think it's helpful for the specifying community to get to know the supplier community. I mean, literally time is money for an architect or designer.
Right.
So if they can come to an event and find all of their local suppliers for certain products, I think it would be beneficial for them as well.
Sure, and I would have to imagine that the success of your association would drive manufacturing divisions to engage
Absolutely.
small local businesses to represent their products. So any supplier can be a primary member, or what's the requirements?
If you look up the CBE requirements, those are the same requirements that we have to become a primary member.
Okay, Kristen, I got to tell you, I'm really excited about this. I'm
Good.
very excited to be a part of it. I think it's going to be wildly beneficial for small businesses to engage. So what's next? How does someone learn more?
Well, if you want more information, you're welcome to visit our website at supplierassociation.org. You can also reach me there directly if you have any questions or concerns. I'm happy to speak to anyone, and that's it.
Sounds great. Thanks for tuning in.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks.